Dr. Homebrew is brought to you by 5-Star Chemicals, providing safety and cleaning supplies for brewing, distilling, and winemaking at 5starchemicals.com.
Doctor, look!
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Stand clear.
All right, everybody. Just jamming out here, a little Dr. Homebrew intro, don't mind.
That was a snappy little ditty.
That's not bad, huh? Full of tones and notes and stuff. Some guy.
His name
and another guy.
Start with a J?
It might. I don't know. Oh, Brian, why don't I have you? Oh,
hey.
God. You know what I realized? You guys are going to have to share a mic.
Uh-oh.
Because all of these, because we are still waiting on our shipment from GABF. So, yeah, sorry about that. I didn't...
So me and Brian can be singing harmony in this mic here today, huh?
Yeah. And I would text Justin to see if there's anything I can do during the break, but I broke my phone today. So I have no phone. You have no mic, Lee, and it's just one of those things.
I could have brought you a mic. I have like 3 of them in my garage.
Well, it's a mixer.
Oh.
We're missing this mixer issue going on here.
Oh, lack of equipment. I see it. There's a big hole where the mixer used to be.
The BN is lacking in equipment here today, huh?
We are.
How you left it on the road, huh?
God. Well, and we
always the story.
We left because I didn't get to go to GABF this year. They left the USB extension cable for the other camera, so it's the foam cam is the only camera that we have right now.
Bastard.
And yeah. It's a great day. It's a great day here in the Dr. Homebrew BN Network studios.
Yeah, we're still recovering from the BN shutdown.
Right? Government. Here, I can turn that off. So that won't confuse me.
Okay. Less knobs to turn. We'll have like a perfect technical show other than the mic issue.
Yeah, other than the major thing going on, everything will be fine. Anyway, welcome to Dr. Homebrew. You guys don't want to hear about our faults and flaws here on the show. You want to learn about good homebrew, and I tell you what, this is the show to do it on. This is Dr. Homebrew. We'd like to thank our sponsor, for without our sponsor, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here missing mixers, and we wouldn't be here talking about broken phones. Our sponsor, 5-Star. You can get all of your cleaning needs met from 5starchemicals.com. Ask for them at your local homebrew supply store. They are PBW. They are the handsome men and women behind 5-Star Stan, Sandy Clean, IO Star. You can also go to 5starchemicals.com. You got boots and gloves and all sorts of safety equipment, too, because when you're dealing with all that kind of stuff, safety is paramount to your beer. You are number one in your own life. You got to realize these things, folks. So if you need some safety gear, go to 5starchemicals.com. If you go to your homebrew shop and they go, oh, here's this like cleaner, this powder that it's fine. Just, you don't need any sanitizer. It's all in one. It's not all in one. You should slap them and then leave before they get your license plate number so you don't get sued. Because it's not. You need to clean stuff before you sanitize it, ladies and gentlemen. So 5-Star Chemicals, they will take care of all that for you. Also, if you are listening to the show, which obviously you are, and you want to learn more about the beers that we're talking about here, we're going to be talking about in a minute, go to BrewToad. BrewToad.com/Dr. Homebrew. They are a lovely sponsor of ours. They are hosting not only all of our shows, but they're hosting all the recipes that we talk about, as well as the high-quality digital scans. I don't know if you guys knew that you can scan things in digitally.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude. It's pretty cool, right? As opposed to non-digital scanning. Anyway, they have all the sheets of the BJCP score sheets that Brian and Lee fill out here tonight. So if you want to check those out and compare along with the recipe and listen to the show and kind of do this whole interactive thing, BrewToad.com/Dr. Homebrew. What is BrewToad? That's a very good question, and let me tell you. BrewToad is an online, web-based software for brewing. It's a repository also. You create a little account. It's free. You load in all your recipes in there. You can import them from other softwares, and there's nothing really hosted on your machine. It's all web-based, all the cloud, I guess, is what the kids call it these days. And you can even search. So if you're searching for a goes or whatever, and no one in your homebrew club, I don't know what that is, you can go to brewto.com and search for that. And you can flag stuff by brewers. If you find a brewer that you actually really like the recipes, you can bookmark them or whatever and find all their recipes, and you can brew the same thing with their notes, and it's a pretty cool community they got going over there. So check them out, brewto.com, and if you want to go to Dr. Homebrew section, it's /Dr. Homebrew.
We've also been informed that very few amphibians were harmed in the making of that website.
Very few. There was one, maybe two, that was skinned, but whatever. I don't know. All right, in case you're new to Dr. Homebrew, this is our, I think, 13th show?
Lucky 13?
Or is it? No.
I don't know. Maybe. What are we on?
We're relying on you to keep track of this.
Oh, God, I don't even know where I am.
I think it was
today.
right about now. Last year we did like the pilot episode of this.
You're probably
the
right.
first one. So yeah, it's about a year. It's a year, I think.
Something like that. And in case you're new to this, and this is your first show, what the point of Dr. Homebrew is, I'm going to tell you.
Tell us, what is the point?
Thank you very much for asking, Lee.
I need to know.
It's a little late to be asking now. If you want feedback on your beer, not only feedback, but if you want interactive feedback, send us your beer. You email me at jp@thebrewingnetwork.com, and you send me your beer, and then I send it to Brian and Lee, my cohorts over here. They are BJCP master judges, and what they do is they sit down, they write their little notes, and they go, okay, this thing is this, and this thing is this, and malty and hoppy and whatever you do, whatever judges do to make you happy, and then we get you on the line and we all talk about it. So you don't just read your score sheet and go, I don't know what any of this junk means. How do I do the stuff that they asked me to do? Well, you can ask them that, and it's kind of an interactive whole little thing we got going on. So it kind of alleviates that time where you go, it's just not possible to get the amount of feedback I'm looking for. I want to sit down with someone, and I want here, you drink my beer, and you tell me, let me get an hour of your time. Well, you get 15 minutes on the show. That's pretty good.
15 seconds of fame.
Anyway, that's what we do. So, like I said, my friends over here are Brian and Lee, BGCP Master Level Judges. We're here to provide all the help and feedback that they can, which is a lot. Let me tell you, these guys know what they're talking about. So, what beers do we have today, guys?
I heard there's an ESB, English style pale ale, English special bitter. Yeah, that's a nice style. I like to brew some English beers now and then. Get some of that fancy, crisp, floor-malted stuff and go to town with that Maris Otter funness.
Maris Otter funness. And then I think we have a pineapple Berliner Weiss, yeah?
We do indeed have a Berliner Weiss made with pineapple.
I'm actually really interested in that.
We're going to see how you react to this.
Oh, that's both daunting and pleasurable, I don't know, at the same time. Anyway, it's time for a break. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
I went
tired
fast.
already.
Me too. Oh man, I broke my phone. I drop my phone all the time. It's a Droid because I'm awesome, and I don't have a screen protector. I don't have anything on it, and I drop it all the time, and nothing happens. And then the other day, I drop it on a rock, and you can see like the indent on the screen. Shattered my screen. So I go, I can replace the screen. It's easy, right? You watch the thing, undo some screws, pop off some glue. There you go. You got your motherboard. You got this whole thing, right? So I did that, and I think I cracked the LCD like touch thing, whatever. Anyway, so I'm like, you get to the end of this build, and I see in the comments of this dude's video that I'm watching, the guy goes, "Oh, well, you're trying to replace just the glass. All you need to do is you heat it up on the outside, and you pull." I'm like, really? So I assemble the whole phone, and it's just bricked. It won't turn on, won't do anything, and then my friend Warren goes, well, did you discharge any static electricity before touching the inside of the... No, I didn't do any of that because the video didn't tell me to do it. You bearded loser. Anyway, I'm really upset.
Should have trusted the professionals like those guys in the mall that you see.
Yeah, maybe one of those guys hanging out in the street corner could have done a better job.
Hey, man, check this out. I'll get check this out. I don't know why that sound like that.
GED, you know, they're good.
Man, I mean, watching
Don't
these.
forget to de-static it first, dude.
Watching these videos, they're just going, and then you do this, and then you just pry up the thing, and we use a guitar pick, and you just pry up the thing, and I'm like,
don't watch those guys' videos. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Go with these guys. They know.
well, so now my thing is, for $80, I could have had somebody do it. It would have given me an hour and a half of my life back, plus my phone. And then I realized, all my photos and stuff probably don't save to my, storage card. They're probably all on the phone, which now can't get power, so it's just totally borked.
And now you're going to have to, no phone, you're going to have to sit here and drink pineapple Berliner Weiss.
Should I be excited?
I'm not saying nothing.
Yeah, that's probably a good.
What would you expect? What would you expect seeing somebody give you beer like that?
I would actually expect good things.
Really?
Yeah, I really would.
I was expecting horrible things from beers like that.
Yeah?
I've had so many fruit beers. They're just head in your palm bad. But we're not saying what this is now. We're just going to draw out the
You're teasing it. You're teasing it. Well, that's a good teaser. Let's take a break, guys, and then on the other side, we will come back with more Dr. Homebrew. Stick with us, everybody.
Do you know the 3 most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star Sand, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today.
This Mosaic Pale Ale from Rebel Brewer is delicious.
Yes, I enjoy it too.
Wait, did you hear that? It sounds like a velociraptor.
Why would a velociraptor be here? That doesn't make any sense.
He's going for my beer.
I'll stop him.
It looks like our frightening friend just has a thing for Rebel Brewer hoppy beers.
RebelBrewer.com has the largest selection of grains on the planet. And if you order before noon, most orders will ship the same day. 2/3 of the country gets their orders in 2 days or less. Rebel Brewer, the velociraptor of homebrew shops. Why wait? Quick, flexible, speedy, fast, not slow, and fast, and speedy.
Visit rebelbrewer.com today. Or I'll rip your face off.
Oh, and he'll totally do it too.
Visit today at rebelbrewer.com.
Downtown Joe's, where everyone is welcome, especially if you like drinking and tasting beer. Head brewer Colin Kaminsky's favorite beers are the Tantric IPA and the Double Secret Probation IPA. But you'll have loads of others to choose from when you redeem your exclusive Brewing Network savings. Downtown Joe's is the best brewery destination and the hottest night spot in Napa. Colin invites all homebrewers and fans of craft beer to stop by and enjoy the great food and beer. Whether you're in the mood for riverside dining, live music, or just hanging out at the bar to meet a person of the opposite sex or a person of the same sex, Downtown Joe's has exactly what you're looking for. And now just mention the Brewing Network to receive $1 off your beer at Downtown Joe's. That's right, take $1 off every one of their great selection of craft beers, including the Lazy Summer Wheat, Golden Thistle Porter, and the Triple Dog Dare You. Come to Downtown Joe's and enjoy the laid-back atmosphere of Napa's best brew pub. Visit downtownjoes.com right now for current beers, the live music schedule, or to drool over their delicious menu items. Downtown Joe's, your neighborhood brew pub where everyone is welcome.
Dr. Homebrew, please report to the ER for code blue. Dr. Homebrew to the ER, please. Oh, and your tea time has been moved to 2:30.
Now back to Dr. Homebrew.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Dr. Homebrew, the only place where you are going to find 3 of the most handsomest men in beer in one room. There's some in-studio guests that we got. So we should have Drew on the line. Drew, are you with us, buddy? Sounds like a yes, but I don't know if
He's cracking a beer.
Drew, you got us?
Hello?
Drew.
Good. Thought he was being eaten by a giant cockroach here.
Hello. Oh, we have the same issue with Skype as we had
Drew?
last month.
Hello?
Hello.
Do you hear us?
Balls. He's typing you right now. I can hear him typing. This is good radio, isn't it?
Yeah. Great radio.
Oh, I think I recognize the sound of those keys.
Here, someone keeps calling the line. Maybe it's him. Hang on a second. Brewing Network. Hello. All right, I don't know what's happening.
What a pleasant phone voice.
Drew, I'm going to Oh, you're messaging me. Here we go. I love shows like this. Yeah, he's not hearing me. He's not hearing me. Let's try it again. Drew. Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
We hear you, Drew.
Here, you guys fill some time for a second. I'm going to type him.
You type him a question about his beer for me. How much yeast did he pitch?
Yeah, you guys ask questions, and then I will type it to them.
And then the guy outside will send some smoke signals, and
It'll just be great.
I do like your Palpatine Vader 12.
Oh, you like
shirt
that?
There, that's quite wonderful. Yeah,
That's the only political party I vote for. Not really, but
Hey, at least they're being honest.
that's right.
they wanted to shut things down.
No, they wouldn't. Okay, here we go. He's going to call in for a second. So let's just jump into his beer. He is listening to us, so we can do that, and he'll just catch up when he calls.
Cool.
Lee, I'm going to make you start first.
If I really won't go much further. All right. Playing with the mic here. All right. Well, I contort over to the side here. ESB. ESB is it's a British style, stronger, bitter, pale ale, British pale ale. Generally has more malt and hops and maybe some esters, actually quite often more esters than the lower gravity versions of this. And this one pretty well fit that profile. Actually, I got a lot of kind of floral, perfumey hops and a lot of esters in this beer in the nose. Very intense ester profile. Started out kind of like berries and tropical fruit and almost started smelling like Kool-Aid after a while. But had some nice caramelly malt behind that and a little bit of hop aroma. Not that intense with the hops, but it seemed to be all pretty reasonable for the style. Didn't really seem to have any diacetyl. Maybe diacetyl, just a whisper, not much. I couldn't really tell. It's a pretty beer, nice light copper brown color, nice clarity, poured a decent white head, pretty low, but that happens with these beers. They're not highly carbonated. This one was a little higher carbonated than you'd expect maybe for a draft version, but it's a bottled version, so those are like that. So it looks about right. Toasty caramel malt flavors, kind of that strong ester profile again, almost Kool-Aid-y like. Very strong berry esters, medium-high bittering, a little bit of hop flavor, some sort of tea and rose and old oranges kind of flavors. I'm kind of wondering if it might have been a little aged, but I'm not really sure on that. And it finishes medium to a little bit on the dry side. God, sorry, hold on. I'm going to have to scoot over here a bit, Brian. I can only read at 45 degrees for so long, at 45-degree angle. Where am I? And above, no diacetyl. The one thing I didn't like about the flavor very much is there's a little bit of harshness in the bittering. It wasn't a very clean bittering. And these are pretty bitter beers, kind of surprisingly bitter sometimes, what people would think. But there was just a little bit of a rough kind of sandpapery edge to the bittering in this. And I didn't really like that much. I think that really is not a good aspect for this. But other than that, it was all pretty to style, although the ester profile was maybe poking to be a little bit above style parameters in this one. Other than that, medium body, medium carbonation, which is probably all right for the bottle versions. Not astringent, a little bit drying from those hops. Maybe a little bit of water treatment doing that too. Just a touch of alcohol in there, maybe for some warmth. A little bit of creaminess. All seem to style. Pretty easy drinking example of an ESB. All the right flavors are there, I think. Also had the right malt kind of profile, the right hops. The bittering was about right. The balance was very forward on the fruit and esters, but sometimes they are. This one was at least as high as it needed to be. The bittering seems a little harsh in the finish again. I was thinking maybe that was maybe a little too long a boil, like doing a 90-minute boil, or a hop variety that wasn't maybe clean enough for doing good bittering here, or something else, or it might have been accentuated a lot by a heavy dose of minerals. Not sure. Can't really tell by the flavor what was done, and usually you can't. But other than that, it was fine. The other question is, given that it was really so estery, the question we're going to want to ask about is, how did he handle his yeast pitch here?
Drew?
So when we get Drew on the phone, we'll want to ask him about that.
We got him right here. Drew.
We got Drew on the phone.
Hey, fellas, how you doing?
Good. Good. You made it.
Yeah, man, sorry about that.
No, it's not, trust me, it's not your fault. Yes,
yeah, it might have been.
That's Lee almost ruined our other board.
That one was capped.
Well, that's true. So, go ahead and repeat your question.
Do I want to just... Yeah, let's go. So, Drew, a question for you. How did you handle the yeast pitch in this beer?
Well, I used the West Yorkshire. I've been trying to make a good ESB for a while, and I heard Jamil say that you can ferment sewer water with it. I figured even I couldn't mess it up. I've had two smack packs.
Have you actually tried to confirm that?
That's actually what you're drinking. I'm surprised you couldn't tell.
Oh, now he tells us.
Ugh. Yeah, that's that harshness. Yeah, but I grew up a starter about 48 hours, to get it roaring, and then I pitched it in and oxygenated a little bit with O2.
How big a batch of beer?
Ended up being just under 10 gallons, I think, out of the fermenter. So,
okay,
maybe slightly above 10 on the way in.
And you basically doubled a smack pack to pitch it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that should be about the right pitch rate then. But
I've been using Mr. Maltby for a while.
Yeah. I mean, basically that's about what they're going to tell you is, one of those things doubled should be about 10 gallons of 1050-ish beer. Although this is a bit on the bigger side. It's 1064. But yeah. I don't know. Brian, what do you think?
I think the beer was pretty good. Came in a nice swing top Grolsch style bottle there. A nice little pop when we opened it. That's under the comments section of the bottle. Bottle was filled properly. There was a nice label on it telling us what was there. Anyway, no. Yeah, so the aroma, I got a pleasant low kind of earthy floral hop in there alongside a pretty gentle caramel malt profile. I did detect a slight sharpness in that ester profile too, kind of like leaded. For me, it came across as kind of a bright appley note. I almost thought I got a little bit of acetaldehyde in there too, just a hint. But kind of appley, but seemed like a fairly clean ferment. Otherwise, I didn't get any DMS. You did a nice job of keeping diacetyl out of there. I thought I didn't detect any butteriness in it, and it's easy to leave a little bit of that behind in a beer like this. Appearance-wise, medium light amber color with great clarity. It really did finish bright, and low off-white head that stuck around for a short while. Mostly larger bubbles collaring the glass at the end there, and that's okay. It's not a big bubbly beer where the head has to stick around for years, so that's fine. I gave it a 3 for appearance out of 3. The malt on the flavor, the malt character is pretty low and caramelly. I did pick up a kind of a sharp alcohol note in it alongside that, a little kind of hot solventy thing in there, and the hops were low and kind of earthy floral, pretty pleasant. It seemed to me to be balanced to the malt. The bitterness was up there, kind of medium for me, but it was a little bit rough around the edges, maybe. It finished pretty dry, and had this kind of malty and a low alcohol thing in the aftertaste, which was, on one hand pleasant, and on the other hand a little distracting. But again, no diacetyl in the flavor. Pretty cleanly fermented. Nice job there. Body-wise, that had medium light body with a little bit of warmth, slight burning in the back of the throat from that hot alcohol. And that comes from higher alcohols and things besides just ethanol can give you a warming effect, but sometimes higher alcohols will really affect you more in the back of the throat. You really feel it back there, and they can be generated, at different slightly higher temperatures sometimes in the fermentation, or if your yeast is a little unhappy, it might kick out more of that kind of thing, or if you're under pitching a little bit. But again, it doesn't seem like you did that. Not really any astringency to pick up in there, and just a bit creamy, pretty pleasant that way. So yeah, overall it was a pretty good attempt at an ESB. Yeah, nice job keeping that butter out of there. And the main thing for me was the hint of hot alcohol in there and the burning in the back of the throat a little bit. I don't know if you get that too on your side there, Drew, but just kind of, I feel it in my chest.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Some beers, hey, if you're drinking an imperial stout or something, that's appropriate. It should burn a little bit back there, but with an ESB, you can get a little hint of warmth, I think, but it, not to that level.
Should be pretty clean.
Right.
But yeah, it seems like you're using pretty good ingredients. Had that kind of English character, and looks like on your recipe you said you used Maris Otter malt, and what was the hop in this one? Is it an EKG thing or?
No, and I think that might be where Lee was picking up the Kool-Aid. I really wanted to get a little bit more fruit out of it, so I used Calypso hops.
Calypso.
And put them in, as a first wort hop, and then I finished at 15 minutes with Willamette to get kind of a little bit closer to that earthy character.
Interesting, yeah. We saw you use the West Yorkshire ale yeast too, and we saw I was looking at the profile for that too, and it does seem it can push out some kind of stone fruit esters and a little nuttiness, but yeah, it's interesting profile in there. I would say, my main suggestion for improvement would be pitching an adequate healthy yeast, vigorous culture from a starter, or from multiple healthy smack packs that swell up right away. And just watch the fermentation temperature. Not only the temperature, I'd keep it at 68 or below, but also fluctuation if you control it, keep it within a couple degrees. But anyway, pretty nice job overall. I gave it a 30. So nice job. Very good beer.
Yeah, just to add a couple things. I think the main thing for me in this beer, the little harsh in the bittering was something you could probably fix. It might have been that hop, I don't know. But between the little bit of hot alcohol and the strong fruit, although some of that may be that hops, and the bit of acetaldehydes in there, it actually comes out a lot more if you let the beer sit around for a while. It can get a bit of a green apple flavor. All those things kind of pointed at a problem with the fermentation. The yeast might not have been healthy enough or had everything it needed. Make sure there's like at least 50 ppms of calcium in the water, enough oxygen to get it started. You did that culture, was it a stir plate or a shaker flask?
Yeah, it was just a shaker, and actually the yeast I'd ordered got here on a really hot day, sat outside it a bit, and then I ended up not being able to brew immediately, and I had it in the fridge for a couple of weeks, so I'm sure that back and forth helped much.
Yeah, getting it hot like that might have knocked it back some, so you might not have had as big a pitch in there as you thought if it was half dead. Mm-hmm. That could do it. Yeah, I don't know. If I got a yeast in the mail like that and it was hot, I would consider maybe growing it a couple generations out and counting it or something if you can, and then starting from there. But yeah, that might have been it. But pretty good beer. I gave it a 33. It's definitely pretty much in the parameters. Just a little bit of that ferment issue and a little bit in the harsh edge.
Right on.
Awesome. Do you have any questions for the guys, Drew?
I think the only other thing I was going to ask, in terms of the fermentation temperatures, I started at 68, held it there for about 3 days, and then I just sort of let it finish out. Would that later rise? It only got up to about 71 pretty slowly, but would that later rise cause the higher alcohols, or is that something that happens earlier on?
My understanding is mostly that stuff's going to happen earlier on. The later temperature rise sort of really help it just finish out the ferment. But an awful lot of the flavor production that yeast do is going to happen in the first 24 hours or less even of the ferment. So what you're getting, if your character, is probably mostly what came out in that 68-degree temperature up front.
Right on. Yeah, so it sounds like I just need to make sure my yeast is a little healthier going in.
That's my guess, considering what you've told us about that yeast, yeah.
Right.
That's the tough part.
Well, cool.
That's the tough part, at least for me, when I was learning how to brew, and even to a certain point now, it's like, but is it really that important? And it really is.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of yeast. Yeah, I always heard early on, oh, well, be careful because you can overpitch. I don't even know if that's possible.
It's pretty hard to overpitch
on a homebrew
to the point where it's going to hurt you. Yeah.
So, all right, Drew. Well, what do you think? Anything else you want to add, or we'll let you go until you can try again?
Yeah, no, I really appreciate the feedback. It was really great.
Cool. Thanks for sending beer, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. Nice,
really appreciate
nice speaking with you. Have a nice evening.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, you have a good one.
All right, buddy. Take it easy.
Bye.
There goes Drew. Well, not bad, huh?
Yeah.
30s?
Not
Something
bad.
like that?
Not bad. Pretty decent beer.
Yeah.
But really, yeast can be the hardest thing to control in homebrewing. I mean, it can be temperamental. You don't always know how it's handled before you got it, and that can really impact it.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to keep the temperatures right and the pitch rate and all these things if you really want to get it to perform properly. But even with all that, it finished out completely. I mean, it's a reasonably dry beer. It didn't totally screw it up. But you get this little bit of heat, this little bit of acetaldehyde, this strong ester. Although some of that might have been those hops he put in there, but it's it just didn't quite come out right.
As they say, the brewer makes wort, yeast makes beer.
Right. There's something.
Yep.
There's something to be said for finding the right combination of hops and yeast and all that kind of stuff. Everything gives a little flavor and plays off each other. So
balance wise, it was okay, except for a little, the harshness of the bittering. But if you pulled that back a little bit, got a nice ferment with that same recipe, you'd have a wonderful beer.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again, Drew, for sending that in. We're going to take another break because we got to get paid, and then we're going to be back on with Patrick and the Pineapple Berliner Weiss. Stick with us, everybody.
Cabs are here. I'm feeling that Melavino mead, yo. We can't be driving nowhere.
Damn straight, son. It's a situation up in here. We be straight GTMing.
GTM?
You know it, baby. Gym, tan, mead.
Yeah, buddy. We be meading all night, son. Hey, what's this Kickstarter thing I see on the Ultranet?
Yeah, Kickstarter. It's the best way there is to raise some dollars for new businesses.
Kickstarter's gonna help Melavino mead get all launched up and whatnot. New Jersey mead for the win. Yeah.
Melovino Meadery needs your help, BN For less than the cost of a tanning session or a bottle of bronzer, you can help make Melovino Mead a reality.
And when your girl sees how generous and giving Zeus is, she'll be out Jersey turnpiking you in no time.
Yeah, buddy.
Help New Jersey's first official meadery get up and running by making a pledge to their Kickstarter campaign. Melovino Meadery. Wine divine.
So go get some of that money you've been saving up for the new kicks and pledge it to Melovino Meadery on Kickstarter.
Yo, Cabs are here.
Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making.
Dr. Homebrew, please report to the ER for code blue. Dr. Homebrew to the ER, please. Oh, and your tea time has been moved to 2:30.
Now back to Dr. Homebrew.
That's right. It is Dr. Homebrew, and with us on the line should be Patrick. Patrick, are you there, buddy?
Yeah. Hey, how you doing?
All right, perfect. How you guys doing? Or how are you? I'm looking at the other two guys and going, whatever. It's been one of those nights, man.
Hi, Patrick.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing?
All right, so we got Berliner Weiss. Let's crack this thing, man. I'm kind of excited. I'm stoked. I love this style of beer. It's not too many people make it, and not too many.
It's got the great government shutdown cap on it.
Well, we couldn't open it before the government was reopened, and so now that it is, it's all right to do. Not many people do Berliner Weiss. I see it a little bit more often commercially, but not a whole lot of folks, homebrew or commercially, are doing a Berliner Weiss. What made you do this one?
Well, I'm from Florida, and Berliner Weisses have kind of taken off down here, and especially fruited ones. They started calling them Florida Weisses, actually, and a bunch of breweries, Cigar City, a couple up-and-comers make some really awesome fruited ones. They actually have a Berliner Bash every year where it's just Florida breweries making fruited Berliner Weisses. That's all they serve all day.
I can see why you'd want to drink a crisp, refreshing, lightly sour beer like that down there in the summer,
Yeah.
Yeah, even now it's still hot, so it's still good.
God, I want a 6-pack of Berliner Weiss and a one-way Greyhound out of there. Can't take it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I went to Florida once for an HC, and it was just like these giant trucks of raindrops. They were just like semi-trucks falling from the sky, and it was like 100 degrees outside. It was weird.
It's easy to obtain brewing water there, so look at it that way. Put out a big vat.
Yeah, dude. Put on your head and walk around, do your chores. Next thing you know, you got brewing water. For free. All right, Brian. Well, Lee took the brunt of it the first time, so now you're up, man. What do you think of Patrick's Berliner Weiss?
So
Pineapple Berliner Weiss.
We've judged this as a Category 23 specialty beer because that's basically what it is. Until they put the Florida fruit Weiss in the style guidelines. Looked like a bottle conditioned beer. A little sediment on the bottom, and yeast and a few particles down there. But cracked it open and it poured pretty nicely. Well, I'll get to the appearance, but in the aroma, had a nice bright sourness and a pretty clean pineapple note coming through, and just in tandem with each other. Clean estery notes, a little kind of sour apple-like smells in there, kind of medium high levels of esters. The malt was just light and cakey and delicate, friendly, happy. No hops detected, as there shouldn't be any hops in here, really. Just barely enough to balance, if that. So, yeah, and no DMS or diacetyl or any other nasties in there. Just clean, bright Berliner Weiss with fruit, with the intended fruit. Nothing overpowering each other there. Pleasant aroma, wonderful. Very, very pale, somewhat hazy straw color. Had a giant fluffy head that popped up, and then it just stuck around for a brief while. But with a beer like this, with all that acid you have going on in here, it can drop down. That's what you would expect, and it rings kind of coated the edges of the glass as it went down, and had kind of chunky mousse-like foam remnants kind of in the middle, floating in there still. It looks just right for the style. Had to give it perfect score for appearance. Getting into the flavor, this has a clean, kind of fresh cut pineapple chunk flavor, like a pineapple chunk floating in the Berliner Weiss. It just
sounds like a Jimmy Buffett song.
Yeah, we'll work on that. No, I'm just saying the style supports the fruit flavor really nicely, and vice versa. The fruit flavor works really nicely with the style, and it comes through in a fresh way. So that's an element of balance that's hard to get to, that where you have that, especially with a specialty beer and trying to judge the amounts of fruit to put in, and same thing with meads. I make meads a lot and trying to get the fruit to the right level that you want, and it's challenging to get that balance right. But you hit it here. I thought the water profile had kind of a lightly minerally, kind of almost brackish character, but not in a bad way. Kind of it fit with the style a little bit, kind of a little mineraliness with that bright, refreshing, sharp, lightly sharp sourness, and the malt was clean and subdued. There's no hops to speak of there. Just a bright, light, clean, mostly lactic sourness. I didn't get any Brett in here. Nothing funky, just pleasant, clean drinking, lightly sour ale. The body was almost medium light, but pretty light, towards the light side, definitely, as it should be, and delicate enough for the style, I'd say, with all that's going on here. That I didn't get any warmth or astringency. It's just clean and refreshing as you really want with this beer. The carbonation was very high, as dictated by the style. It's full of bubbles and really drives that flavor through. I don't think it would be the same beer without that. So, it's crisp, not very creamy or anything. It's just it's not a beer that should really be that creamy. It's just a crisp, refreshing, drinkable beer that just goes down nicely. So, overall impression for this, I thought you nailed the balance, and the fresh pineapple character was really lovely. An excellently brewed Berliner Weiss with the fruit that you say. I mean, like you hear, like we said earlier, you hear also, well, I made a pumpkin and watermelon hibiscus, Scottish ale, and it's like, you can sometimes you hear styles that sounds a little weird. It's like this one, we heard the combination, and we thought that could work if they got the balance right, and it did. So, nice job. I don't know I'd be interested to find out what water treatment you did, if any, or what your water's like down there. But that was the only thing that was maybe a tad distracting for me. The body could even be a tiny touch lighter, but it's I think it's just the perception of the body is a little heavier with the yeast that's in there. It's slightly cloudy, and there's a little bit of stuff in there. But yeah, not distracting at all. I give this beer a 43. I thought it was a really excellent example and a good job of balance overall, and that's what I look for in a specialty beer. So thank you. Nice job. Thanks for sharing it. But I do want to hear about your water.
Patrick, you want to wrap up your water a little bit?
This is for this batch. I probably didn't do any treatment, just RO water bought from the store. I think I am just starting to get into water treatments, so I doubt I did anything for this. I don't think I brewed it a while ago, like 3 or 4 months ago.
So just straight RO water. Wow.
Yeah. What water suggestions would you have in a beer like this to bring out maybe the acid character or the fruit character?
I like using wet water, personally.
Okay.
Wet water. Yeah. I think, it should just basically not get in the way of the style, and it should have enough, with a beer that's light, enough calcium to keep the pH right when you're mashing. But, it seems like everything worked right somehow with what you did. So, I don't know. Maybe that's, part of what made it work.
Lee, what do you think?
Okay.
Well, a 3% beer might not be too big a challenge for the yeast, so they might handle it even with a little bit of restraint on the calcium. What did I think? I approach this beer kind of with a mixture of interest and fear, because I've had so many fruit beers that just aren't very good. I've had some that are wonderful. They can be very nice. But, when I just think about pineapple and biting into a chunk of pineapple and how pungent it can be and how it almost puckers up your mouth, it's like, well, that could be really interesting mixed with a Berliner Weiss, but if they put too much in, it could just be awful. And I gotta say, you nailed it. This is really nice. I probably won't spend a whole lot of time going over my notes. They pretty much reproduce what Brian said. But what I would say is this is it's a nice, lighter version of Berliner Weiss in terms of the flavor. It's not really sour. Mm-hmm. It's got a nice, delicate lactic character. No Brett. Nice bready white bread flavor, malt underneath it, no hops, nothing like that. And just this nice kind of light, low intensity, but definitely there pineapple flavor along with it. And it works so well against that lactic acidity and that little bit of bready flavor. It's just a wonderful balance. It's completely what you would hope for, having had somebody present you with something like this. I thought this was really excellent. The one thing I didn't like about it that much was kind of the body on it. I thought it was actually come across a little bit watery. It's almost too light. But to be honest, coming back to it now, it doesn't really even seem that way. So I think I was being a little harsh on that front. But I thought this is a really good beer. Yeah, I think you did a good job. I'm curious, since that's, it is a style that's gaining in popularity out here too. You see them once in a while. Is there? Did you consult with any of the brewers making these things down there as to how to handle a recipe on this, or are you just kind of going from a recipe, or totally winging it, or what?
Yeah, actually, one of the he did a pilot batch for Cigar City, and his beer kind of blew up, and then he's opening up his own brewery now, and I kind of talked to him a little bit and just kind of asked for suggestions on like a grain bill, and I ended up this basically is a 50-50 split of a Pilsner and white wheat, and then that's about it. That's about all he gave me. He said ferment it with clean, cold with a cold yeast, and then basically just let the lactic acid do the work, kind of.
Interesting.
So how did you get the acid balance where it is in this? You used lactic acid addition, or you soured it?
No, this is my probably third batch. I used the handful of grain and the bacteria on that to kind of sour it. And my first trial was I soured it at about 110 Fahrenheit for 4 days, and it was mouth-puckeringly sour. It was way too sour. So the next time I backed off about 2 days at 110 Fahrenheit and got a nice level of sourness, and that's kind of been my baseline from there. But I think this batch actually I used the lacto from grain at room temp, and it took a little bit longer. It took maybe about a week to sour up, and then I actually had to add some DME to kind of boost the gravity, because as it was making the lactic acid, it dropped the gravity pretty drastically, and I don't think it created alcohol.
Hey, Patrick, can you just real fast, explain a little bit more detail about what you mean by pulling the lactic off the grain, just for a few folks who don't know about that?
Yeah, so I chose to sour my wort, not sour the mash. So basically, I went through a normal mashing process. I got my wort, and then I threw in a handful of milled grain, and grain naturally has lacto on it. So if you chuck it in and keep it at high temperatures, it likes around maybe 100 to 120 Fahrenheit, nothing higher than that, it'll kill off the bacteria. Mm-hmm. But it'll create a nice, clean lactic acid at about 110, and so that's kind of what I used. It's kind of a shortcut, a cheat instead of using the like a White Labs vial. It's a quicker ferment.
Did you just put it like in a grain bag, or?
No, I just put it in. I put it in a bucket and then put it in a temperature-controlled chamber. It created some really nasty off flavors like garbage, creamed corn, but they died off eventually and got what you see here. It's a nice, clean, tart lactic acid.
Some of that stuff might be pretty volatile and just gets driven off in the boil. But that is a nice way to go about it, and it's a good way to keep it in check and not throw some Roselaire or something in there and let it go completely wild and maybe go a little too far, or trying to find the right balance on the other side. This way, you really just cut it off when it's done and froze the acid content in place, kind of at the boiling stage, and then ferment it out with your clean Kolsch yeast. Nice job, and that sounds like you went about it pretty well there. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Did you boil this after you stopped that lactic culture going?
Yeah. So as soon as it was as sour as I wanted it, I did about a 15-minute boil with just a handful of whatever hops I had around for about 4 IBU, and
just to sanitize
it. Yeah, basically just to kill off all the lacto, make sure it didn't get any more sour. And that way I could also use any of my carboys. I didn't have to worry about lacto infection in my little brewery.
How long did your fermentation take? Pretty quick, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, this is a, 3.5% beer. It was real quick.
Cool.
By the time you're finished pouring the yeast in, it's done.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah, no, this is really nice. Have you entered this in any comps?
No, actually, those are the last bottles I have of it, so I got to rebrew it.
Make more. I bet you can win. You should be able to win a ribbon with this. This is really nice.
Great, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot too. It tastes just like you're eating little slices of pineapple, which I love.
Delicate slices of pineapple with white bread.
Right, delicate. Well, it's like a pineapple sandwich, but I didn't want to give away my secret recipe for my lunch food. Patrick, do you have any other questions for these handsome young men?
I guess just one. What should I be looking for in a fruit beer, I guess? I think you kind of went over it, like less fruit maybe, more base beer forward, but, kind of how do you score well in a fruit beer category?
Balance and freshness of the fruit flavor are key. So what was your fruit source, could I ask? Did you get it at a grocery store? Did you grow it there, or where'd you get it?
Yeah, it was just a whole pineapple, one pineapple cubed, and I froze it and then thawed it, 1 per gallon, basically. Cool. 1 pineapple per gallon.
1 per gallon?
Wow.
You mean like 10 pineapples for a 10-gallon batch?
Yeah, but this was I'm brewing on a really small scale, so I only had a gallon.
Oh, that's an awful lot of. I mean, that's pineapple's probably a couple quarts worth of volume right there.
Yeah,
that's interesting. So actually, that was kind of.
I would never have thought that
was
much.
Something. So
yeah.
That was actually something I was commenting on my notes. Remember, I was saying I thought it was a little light or watery in the body. Do you account for the volume of the liquid coming out of the pineapple when you're calculating your terminal gravity on this?
No, I didn't.
Because it's probably adding a significant amount of liquid and volume into the beer.
Right.
Once it gets eaten apart by the... I mean, I assume you're putting it in the fermenter and the yeast are probably going to town on it, right?
Yeah, I probably left it on for about a week and just racked it off.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised the pineapple flavor didn't come out stronger than it did, but it really worked. It was nice.
So are you saying if he wanted to cut back on that wateriness or whatever, he would just bump his gravity up a couple of points, maybe a couple 2-3 points?
Yeah, maybe shoot for a slightly higher starting gravity with the understanding it's going to get diluted out a bit by the liquid coming out of the pineapple. I mean, it's not like you're off anything here, but if you want to bump the body up a touch, which might help, that you could try that.
Okay.
Cool. Well, I really enjoyed it, Patrick. Thank you very much for sending us your last bottles. I must have heard a little bit.
We all enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course, man. Good luck with, definitely, like Lee said, enter this thing, man.
Yeah, now we have an excuse to come to Florida, man.
Besides Disney World, I mean, that's what you mean.
Yeah, right, of course.
All right, Patrick. Thanks a lot, bud. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
All right, have a good one, guys.
All right, you too. Later. It was very pleasant. I really enjoyed that beer.
He was a pleasant individual as well.
That's true. I think we have a couple, at least one more bottle, I think, right? Oh, and we don't have any more bottles, guys. All right, we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we're going to do our little rundown of who did what and who could do what to make a better beer, if that's even possible. I don't even know anymore. And we will see you guys on the other side of the jump. Hang on a second. Dr. Homebrew.
That's it. I've had it. I am never putting hops in my beer again.
What? Why?
It's just too ridiculous. Insane prices, stupid contract, high shipping costs, crappy selection.
Dude, you need Nico Brew.
Nico Brew will rock your f***ing face right the f*** off your f***ing skull. $5 shipping to all 50 states. Plus fantastic international rates get you low prices on Nico Brew's great selection of hops and more. Whether you're a home brewer, a pro brewer, or a homebrew shop owner, Nico Brew can get you the hops you need in increments big and small, single orders, spot buys, or full contracts. And there's only one place to join the uber special secret elite bare bones club where you'll get the best deals anywhere.
Holy shit!
NicoBrew.com. NIKOBREW. Nico Brew, your bare bones buddy in the brewing business.
Hello, fellow BNers. This is Sully from the 21st Amendment Brewery located in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park. Before Nico and I opened the 21A and before I was a professional brewer, I homebrewed on my small 4-burner apartment stove in a back house in Santa Monica, California, making my extract brews before graduating to the daunting idea of all-grain brewing. Homebrew books and information was hard to come by back then. The internet hadn't been invented yet, along with other things we take for granted today, like electricity and potable water. One thing I wish I had back then when I was learning was a radio show that could teach me the ins and outs of brewing and answer questions that I had about homebrewing, a resource for making great craft beer. The 21st Amendment Brewery is excited to be a proud sponsor of Dr. Homebrew, a great show that teaches you what you need to know about making incredible beer. Good stuff. Listen up, you might learn something. I certainly did. And thanks for your support. Tasty Crack Games.
Now, back to the examination.
All right, it's Dr. Homebrew. Welcome back, everybody. We're just talking about that wonderful pineapple barley wine we just had. I think Lee's a little hammered. Just hanging out with the Martians a little bit early on before he came in here, so riding that night train.
All the way out here, yep. Just with the guys out front.
All right, so this is the part of the show where we kind of just review the two beers that we had, and, oops, that was a little short. Sorry about that. Where we review the beers that we had, and then you remember the tips and tricks and whatever we had, the suggestions that the guys had on how to improve them, make a little better, up that score a little bit. That's really what we're all about. So, Brian, since you have an iPad in front of you.
It's black right now, but yeah, I'll turn on the screen, power it up, get those tubes firing. Oh, and it's on Berliner Weiss. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
We're talking about the ESB.
Yeah, let's run the ESB real quick. That was Drew's ESB.
Drew's ESB had a lot going for it, and it was a very, the balance overall was pretty nice between the ingredients. The bitterness was just a little high on that, maybe for the style or a little rough actually. You could make sure you're using really fresh hops and a variety that works with the style. It sounds like he was experimenting with hops a little bit. Maybe try different ones the next time, and if you're, whatever you're bittering with on that, if it was that Calypso, try something different. Use an EKG or something more classic, or go a little more experimental on another side. Use the North Down or some Fuggles or some other English hop you want to bitter with. Hey, have fun with it. And it was a little hot, just a touch hot, but not super distracting. Just a little bit of warmth in the back of the throat. You can have a little bit of alcohol warmth, but to me, it was a little excessive and a little alcoholic flavor. So, some higher alcohols going on there. Keep that yeast happy. If you have a smack pack that's questionable, maybe just get a new one or grow it up a couple generations and make sure it gets nice and happy. But overall, pretty good ESP. Seemed like you used the right ingredients, especially malt wise. So yeah, you just gotta have that Maris Otter happiness. Cheers, good beer. Hey,
Maris Otter happiness.
I forgot what I said earlier. I'm gonna lose all my catchphrases are not consistent.
We should work on that.
Got to catch a phrase.
Lee, what about you? ESB.
ESB. Yeah, I would say if you're going to make an ESB, stick with English ingredients, which he did for the yeast, he did for the malt, and they both came through very nicely. Although the yeast was maybe a little bit in the hot side in the ferment, which we talked about a fair amount, getting the right pitch rate and temperature. It sounded like his yeast might have been a little bit knocked back by its mail order delivery, sitting out in his front porch for a while in the sun. But the reason I say you use the British ingredients is the Calypso hops that he put in the. Did he say he did a mash hop on them? Pretty fruit forward, modern sort of West Coast. Well, not English hop. You try that with an EKG or a Fuggles, and you'll probably get a beer that's a little more true to style. I mean, it's basically if you want to impress us as it's being an English type beer, that's what you should use.
Okay.
And that's not to say that the English these days aren't having fun throwing Cascades and Centennial and Apollo into their beers and seeing how they come out. And I definitely have made ESBs using Cascades, and I'll drink the shit out of it, but I wouldn't expect it would ever win a ribbon because it just doesn't taste terribly English. So you're kind of stuck in that conundrum there. If you want to come across as being a real ESB, I would stick with English hops. Otherwise, you're sort of playing with Category 23 sort of thing, English beer, American hops, and those are always a little tough to pull off. Mm-hmm. Other than that, watch the health of that yeast, and if your delivery guy is doing bad things to them, you may need to coddle them up a bit once you get them home to get them growing and healthy and make sure you got the right amount.
Talking about the yeast, not the delivery guy.
The yeast.
Yeah.
You can handle the delivery guy however you want, but I'm talking about the yeast.
Give him beer.
Right? All right, and then Patrick's wonderful Berliner Weiss.
The Berliner Weiss, the beer I approached with fear. It was actually very nice. Light, delicate, nice pineapple flavor. There was nothing like the sort of overbearing pineapple juice sort of pungency I was expecting. It was really good balance. I am almost at a loss to tell them how to improve it. But the one thing I would say is maybe compensate for the volume of the liquid from that pineapple, that whole pineapple you threw into that gallon of beer in the fermenter. When you're doing your calculations on this, because it seemed to, even for Berliner Weiss, for me, it was pushing the light end of the style. It almost seemed a bit watery. Seeing as he was using RO water, maybe a little bit of calcium or something, just some calcium chloride or something in there, just to give a little bit of that flavor might help. It might improve the yeast health too. Although I don't think they had a challenge fermenting this 3% beer. And, the extra sugar that comes out of that pineapple is going to ferment out and lighten it up, too. It makes alcohol. So it's like everything is pointing at a really, really light beer here. To me, the first time I tried, it seemed a little watery. The second time, not so much. It's kind of right in the threshold there. Other than that, I think it's a brilliant beer. It's a very good one. Well done.
We were drinking Imperial Stout before we tried it, so, maybe that's part of why it seemed light at first.
Yeah, a little bit.
The heretic stuff that dropped in here. Anyway, really nice beer. I enjoyed it a lot, and I was surprised to hear how much fruit was in it. But if that's the recipe that works for you, go with it on that front. The pineapple did hold up well. So I was going to say something, and I just forgot. And when I decided to throw in the Russian Imperial Stout joke, then I lost my
it was
train
worth
of
it.
thought. But anyway,
it was worth it, I'll tell you.
Really wonderful job on this beer, and kind of surprised us with a couple things there. The water, it doesn't seem like it would be an RO water in there, and it's but it's just clean and refreshing, and maybe that's again part of it. Again, whatever ends up working, and it sounds like Patrick has done his homework and experimented with different souring routines, regimens, and to get it just right. And I think what he's doing is working. Take that and you can experiment with different fruits even and see what else works with it. It's a nice beer and it is becoming more popular. Oh, the thing I was going to say is that this is the kind of beer that in Berlin, as many people, longtime listeners of the show will know, is flavored with syrups most commonly when you order one there. If you order it just straight, they might look at you funny. But it's usually, it can come with a Himbeer, raspberry syrup, or a Waldmeister, a Woodruff syrup, or there's other kinds too, I think. But this is the nice Berliner Weiss that comes pre-fruited for your enjoyment. It's the lazy man's Berliner Weiss. I love it. It just comes with the fruit in it, right in balance where you want it.
You don't have to do
flavoring
anything.
Is all there. Everything you want. It's
There's
right
no
there.
stirring.
Pour it in a glass. Drink it.
Right.
Done.
Right.
Good job.
It's not lazy. It's just awesome. Woo. All right. Well, this has been another fantabulous edition of Dr. Homebrew. I'd like to thank our sponsor, our show sponsor, 5-Star. You can go to 5starchemicals.com. Check them out. Grab some PBW. Grab some gloves. Protect your hands, man. Also, Brewtoad. Go to brewtoad.com/Dr. Homebrew for all the recipes that you heard about on the. What did we do? We did a show on a radio show tonight. I'd like to thank the guys who sent in some beer, Patrick and Charles, or Drew, rather, whatever. People have different names on emails sometimes. Like it was Charles, and then on his Skype thing was Drew, and it happened the other day. A couple other people. I never know anymore, so just call you Thing 1 and Thing 2 and see how it comes out.
Whatever you like, Susan.
But last but not least, thank you to my co-hosts and members of Team Handsome, Brian and Lee over here. Thank you guys very much for drinking this
lovely
beers.
gal who brought us water.
Yes, thank you, Taryn. You're a lifesaver, mainly because you brought my phone back to me. All right, everybody, it's Dr. Homebrew. Catch us later. Goodbye.